Look at your hand right now. I mean it. Hold it up in front of your face. Don't just glance at it. Study it. Look at the intricate lines on your palm, the texture of your skin, the subtle rhythmic pulse beneath your wrist. What are you actually seeing? For centuries, you have been programmed to see a decaying vessel. You have been told this is a cage of flesh, a heavy anchor keeping your spirit trapped in a fallen, sinful world. You have been taught to look away, to look up, to look anywhere but here for the divine. But what if you are looking at the most advanced biological technology in the universe? What if the very thing you were told to transcend is actually the key to the lock? This is not a metaphor. 2,000 years ago, in a garden outside Bethany, a secret transmission was passed from a master to a student. It was a teaching so dangerous it had to be erased from the official record. It was the instruction manual for the human form. You are watching this video because you have always felt a dissonance in the matrix. You have sat in their buildings and recited their words, but you felt cold. That is because your cells remember what your mind was forced to forget. You are not a sinner seeking salvation. You are a sleeping giant, sitting on top of a dormant nuclear reactor. By the end of this transmission, I am going to hand you the specific biofeedback protocol, the lost key, to reactivate this system. But before I can give you the key, you must understand the nature of the lock. The greatest trick the Empire ever played was convincing you that God lives in a building made of stone. Think about the architecture of control: immense cathedrals, gold-plated altars, ceilings so high they make you feel small, insignificant, separate. They are designed to draw your eyes upward, away from yourself, projecting your power onto an external authority. This was a strategic business decision made by the early church. They realized they had two options. They could continue the actual teaching of the Nazarene, that the body is the temple, or they could adopt the philosophy that matter is flawed and only the church holds the key. They chose the second option. Why? Because if your body is a portal, you do not need a priest. If your biology is sacred, you do not need a temple. If you have direct access to the source code of reality, the entire hierarchy of intermediaries collapses overnight. So they buried the truth, literally. For nearly 2,000 years, the actual instruction manuals lay hidden in sealed jars in the Egyptian desert at Nag Hammadi, waiting for a time when humanity was ready to decode them. And what do these texts say? They say the kingdom is not a place you go to when you die. It is a frequency you tune into while you are alive. Consider the physics. At the quantum level, your body is not solid. You are a constellation of vibrating energy fields. You are 99.9% empty space, and that space is not empty. It is full of intelligence. It is the monad. Think of ice and steam. They look different. They feel different. But they are the exact same substance, vibrating at different rates. Your body is the ice. The monad is the steam. The church taught you to hate the ice because it isn't steam. The master taught that if you know how to warm the ice, it becomes the steam. He didn't walk on water or heal the sick because he was the only son of a distant god. He did it because he was a prototype. He was demonstrating what happens when a human being creates a phase shift in their own biology. But here is the problem. You cannot shift from ice to steam if the temperature is constantly being lowered. And that is exactly what modern society does to you. So how does the control system actually keep your temperature down? How do they block this frequency? The mechanism is simpler and more terrifying than you think. Why did they hide this? Because a complicated lie is easier to monetize than a simple truth. They kept you praying from the neck up. They encourage you to analyze scripture with your intellect. This was a strategic diversion. The moment you are stuck in your analytical mind, the portal is sealed. The mind is a tool for navigation, not for connection. The teaching that was erased is that the portal does not open through the brain. It opens through the heart. This is where we must strip away the romance and look at the hard science. Your heart is not just a pump moving blood, it is an electromagnetic oscillator. It generates a field up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain. You are walking around inside a bubble of energy that dictates your reality. But for most people, this field is a disaster zone. Think of it like this. You are trying to drive a high-performance sports car. Your foot is slamming on the gas. That's your desire, your prayer, your will to live. But at the same time, your other foot is slamming on the brake. That's your fear, your stress, your guilt. What happens? You make a lot of noise. You burn out the engine, but you don't go anywhere. That is the state of chaos. It is a jagged, incoherent signal that jams your connection to the monad. But there is another state. It is called coherence. Coherence is what happens when you take your foot off the brake. It is when the rhythm of your heart, your breath, and your brain waves synchronize into a single, unified laser beam. In the Lost Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "When you make the two into one, you will say to the mountain, 'Move,' and it will move." This was not a riddle. It was a biofeedback instruction. Making the two one is the alignment of the electric thought and the magnetic emotion. When Jesus operated, he was in a permanent state of high-level coherence. His field was so ordered, so powerful, that it overrode the chaotic fields of the sick people around him. He didn't just heal them, he tuned them. He brought their biology back into resonance with the source. They told you he was a magician so you wouldn't realize he was a prototype. He was showing you the standard operating system of a human being who has removed the interference. Your body is desperate to return to this state. It is trying to do it every night when you sleep. But the modern world is a frequency fence designed to keep the noise loud and the portal shut. It is time to stop fighting the interference and simply tune past it. I am going to give you the protocol now. This is the exact method to take your foot off the brake and let the power flow. The church hid the frequency by making you believe that accessing the divine required a middleman. But the original instruction was never complex. If it were complex, it would be exclusive. The monad designed this system to be accessible to anyone brave enough to reclaim their own autonomy. I am going to give you the protocol now. This is not meditation. This is calibration. You are not trying to escape your body. You are about to fully inhabit it. Wherever you are, stop the scrolling. Sit up straight. Give me 60 seconds to reboot your operating system. Step 1. The descent. Shift your attention away from the space behind your eyes. Most of us live trapped in the attic of the skull, looking out at the world through two windows. Drop that focus down, past the throat, into the center of the chest. Not the physical heart-pumping blood, but the energetic space slightly behind it. If your mind tries to analyze this, or if thoughts intrude, do not fight them. Just let them float by and gently return your anchor to the chest. You are moving from the bridge to the engine room. Step 2. The signal. Begin to breathe, but slower than usual. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Imagine the breath is flowing directly in and out of that heart center. You are manually overriding your nervous system. You are sending a biological signal that says, "The war is over. I am safe." When the body feels safe, the survival mode deactivates and the portal mode initiates. Step 3. The activation. This is the secret key they erased from the texts. Thought does not open the door. Feeling does. You cannot think your way to the monad. You must vibrate your way there. Call up a feeling of gratitude or care or compassion. Do not just think the word gratitude. Feel the texture of it. Feel the warmth spreading in your chest. Feel the expansion. As you hold that feeling, the jagged noise of your field is smoothing out into a coherent wave. Do you feel that subtle shift, a tingling in the hands, a sudden clarity behind the eyes? That is not your imagination. That is the biocircuitry coming online. You are beginning to vibrate at the frequency of the monad. Hold this state. Memorize it. Because the moment you open your eyes, the world is going to try to steal it back. Now, open your eyes, hold that feeling of peace. Notice how fragile it feels. Notice how quickly it wants to fade. That is not a flaw in your biology. That is a feature of the system you live in. You must understand that you are not just fighting ancient dogmas anymore. You are fighting a technologically advanced containment field designed to keep that portal shut tight. Look at the device in your pocket. We call it a phone. But to the engineers who designed it, it is a dopamine extraction machine. It fractures your attention into 10-second clips. It spikes your dopamine, then drops it, keeping you in a constant state of craving. Why? Because you cannot hold the frequency of the monad if your attention is shattered. They want you scrolling, not feeling. They want you reacting, not resonating. Look at the news. It is not information. It is a trauma loop. It is designed to keep your amygdala firing in constant fight-or-flight mode. When you are in survival mode, all your energy goes to your muscles to fight a phantom enemy. There is no bandwidth left for the heart. In the Gnostic texts, they called the entities that feed on human fear archons. Today, we call them algorithms. The mechanism is the same. They feed on your low-frequency emotions, your outrage, your fear, your sense of lack. That is the fuel that runs the matrix. You must realize that your biological coherence is a threat to the economy of misery. A person who is whole does not need to buy happiness. A person who feels the infinite within does not need to be entertained to death. A person who does not fear is a person who cannot be controlled. So when you click off this video, the test begins. You will feel the urge to get angry at a headline. You will feel the urge to numb yourself with food. You will feel the urge to judge your neighbor. Recognize these urges for what they are. Automated programs trying to reseal the portal. This is the real spiritual warfare. It is not fought in the clouds. It is fought in your nervous system, moment by moment. Will you choose the cheap dopamine of the matrix? Or will you choose the silent, golden frequency of your own soul? The moment you refuse to react, you become invisible to their control. You become a glitch in their system. And that is when the real magic begins. When you stabilize this frequency, when you live as an open portal, the heavy limitations of the material world begin to dissolve. This is exactly what the established powers feared most. They didn't hide this knowledge to save your soul. They hid it to save their hierarchy. Because when the portal opens, the control grid collapses. They fear the moment you realize that matter is malleable. This is the hardest pill for the logical mind to swallow. Jesus walked on water and transmuted matter not to show off but to demonstrate the nature of a holographic reality. He understood that physical atoms are just energy responding to consciousness. When your frequency is coherent, obstacles dissolve. You aren't forcing the world to bend. You are simply vibrating at a level where the world naturally rearranges itself around you. But they fear something else even more. They fear the ultimate weapon being disarmed. The entire structure of society is built on one single pillar, the fear of death. They sell you insurance, they sell you salvation, they sell you legacy, all because you believe you are a temporary body that will expire. Fear makes you compliant. Fear makes you small. It is the invisible leash that keeps you in line. As long as you are terrified of the unknown, you will always trade your freedom for their artificial safety. They need you to believe your existence is finite, so your obedience remains permanent. But when the portal is open, when you have felt the monad vibrating in your own chest, you know the truth. The body is just a vessel. It is a biological suit. When it wears out, you do not end. You simply graduate from this form and return to the ocean of light. Jesus proved this with the resurrection. It wasn't a miracle reserved for one man. It was a demonstration of the law of conservation of consciousness. Energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. Imagine a population that does not fear the end. Imagine a human being who knows they are infinite. You cannot control a person like that. You cannot threaten them. You cannot make them feel small. That is who you actually are. That is why they burned the libraries. That is why they buried the Gospels in the desert sands. They were trying to delay this exact moment, the moment you remember that you are not the prisoner of this reality, but the architect of your experience. The secret is out. The frequency is returning to the planet. It is not coming through a Messiah descending from the clouds. It is coming through you. The church tried to bury this truth because they knew that a humanity operating at the monad frequency is uncontrollable. But they failed. They could not change what you are. They could only make you forget for a little while. And now, the amnesia is fading. You have the map. You have the method. The only question remaining is whether you have the courage to keep the door open. It requires practice. The world will try to pull you back into the noise, back into fear, back into the small, limited identity. Do not let it. When you feel the chaos rising, remember the protocol. Drop into the heart, feel the coherence, reclaim your sovereignty. We are gathering the scattered sparks of the monad here. We are building a network of awakened nodes. If you felt the shift during this transmission, if you are ready to be an anchor for this frequency, leave your mark in the digital ether below. Comment the phrase, "My body is the portal." Do not just type it, declare it. Let it be the signal flare that tells others they are not alone. And if you wish to go deeper into the mysteries they tried to erase, if you want to walk further into the inner chamber of this knowledge, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Consider it your digital signature, a silent vow that you are part of this lineage. Before you go, let's seal this activation. Close your eyes, repeat this silently to yourself. Let it imprint on your cells. The temple is within. The lock is broken. I am the open door. The church hid the frequency, but you are the instrument. Play your note. I will see you in the next transmission.